All right, hi guys. It is the 4th of October, Tuesday. Market closed 2 hours ago. Let's recap the market. So the S&P had a nice strong day today, closed at high of day, 3% move. We look at the other indices like the Russell, it was 4%. So a very, very strong move today. Again, closed the high of day. Yesterday, we had that sort of reversal from the fake out on Friday, with all the weekend news that Credit Suisse is going to go bankrupt, typical market stuff. It just completely does the opposite of what you expect, so to speak. So yeah, very nice close yesterday, even better close today. Resistance one taken out, halfway towards resistance two. Most likely just going to keep going until resistance two. A lot of people are getting bullish. We have had a lot of shorts in the market recently. So, and then that's the whole point of a double bottom here. I mean, yes, we did sort of take it out on that one day, but it happens a lot to have a fake out. So if you just sort of zoom out a little bit, we've got a double bottom. You can at least test this second resistance and you're still within the downtrend line. I mean, long term and medium term, at least these are sort of time frames I'm looking at. So for me, a short bounce to here, another 2.5%, easily doable to tomorrow or within 2 days. And then you hit resistance two and easily could go back down again from there. For me, at the moment, that's the most likely scenario. So a bounce to about, let's call it 388, maybe 389, maybe 390. Why not? A nice round number, but let's say 390-ish. And then basically fade and come back down, 2.5% move, maybe tomorrow, maybe in 2 days. So Wednesday, Thursday. Actually, it'd probably be worth looking at the calendar to see what upcoming news there is within the next 2 days. There's a lot of news every day. I mean, news that used to be pretty sort of regarded as high importance or even medium importance is now high importance. Stuff like PMI that wasn't as important as, let's say, non-farm payrolls. The big significant news. Now just medium news can affect the markets. Even medium news from other countries, like let's say German inflation data. So point is, that's lots of news. Everything's very sensitive, and to me, price action determines the trend, and usually the news that's just happens to coincide is blamed, or it becomes the excuse. So I mean, there are countless examples, but imagine in 2 days it just starts to reverse, and then all of a sudden there's some, I don't know, North Korea does a nuclear test, ballistic missile test, which they won't do, they've just done it. But any small thing that happens very often that doesn't move the market, well, if the market moves around that time, they'll blame that. So for me, news is secondary. Obviously, there are times where, let's say, the Bank of England just surprises with QE. You can see the market turn straight away. That's not technicals. That's just breaking news, surprise, off guard. And obviously, fundamentals count. They always count. But when you're dealing with short-term trends, it's secondary. So I say that to say this. I say we move a little higher towards secondary resistance. At the moment, that's what seems likely. Very strong market. It's been bearish for a while. We're double bottoming. We had that fake out, resistance one taken out, and we're halfway towards resistance two with a close at high of day. Same thing with the Nasdaq. Maybe hasn't gone up as much, relatively speaking, but pretty much the same thing. Close at high of day-ish. Dow Jones, and that was the weaker one that had already almost touched its support at the gap, if you remember that. So if we had gone down after that Friday close this week, I did say that Dow would probably find support quickly because of this. But anyway, it had a nice, very strong close. Just open at the low, close at the high, perfect candle. Yeah, so now within, emerging out of its double bottom like the others, the Russell 2000, always the most sensitive one on the way down and on the way up, pretty much already hit resistance two. I forgot to put resistance one. That would just be here, obviously. But well, I would say, I mean, if everything else has to go up, as I think it will tomorrow, resistance two will probably end up being the real downtrend line. So let's call it around here. 180. Yeah, 180 is a good number ish. Doesn't really matter because I mean you can see the market. If it goes higher, it'll go higher, you know. If it goes low, it'll go lower. So whether it hits 178, 179, 182, who cares, you know? Unless you're really day trading, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna say about here. And the VIX is, I'm sorry, but -3% on a 3% market day, that's not down that much. You'd expect this to be below 28 easily. So although still we're not too far off the double bottom. But yeah, I still think this should be 28-ish. So I think there's a lot of fear that remains in the market. And that makes sense. I mean, that's not misplaced. So yeah, so to summarize, the markets are still very fragile. They're still bearish. Just short term, you could have a bit of a move up, but I'm still pretty bearish. I don't think that the Bank of England, its announcement necessarily means US markets should be going up. I know a lot of people are translating the market is taking it that way for now because well, first of all, we had a lot of bears out there, so why not pop on that? But also the Fed hasn't hinted at doing QE or anything like the BOE yet. A lot of people think they will, and I think they will too. But I still think they're going to be doing a few 75, even 50 basis point hikes. And you know, even if they do a 50 basis point hike, which would be less than they've been doing recently, which is 75, I still think that would be bearish for the markets because the sort of tightening of financial conditions. I mean, I wouldn't consider that QE or on their way to slowing, and QE 50 basis point hike next meeting would still be pretty difficult for the market to handle. So I don't think that the market has this right just yet, but I understand why we're bouncing. So let's just follow the trend. Anyway, let's look at yields. That too has been on its new short-term trend of going lower. The 1 year kind of dojied here. So yeah, it kind of went lower, but then rallied. So we're sort of holding firm here just under 4%. The 2 year, which was higher than the 1 year, a lot of people noticed that the 2 year was really the scary one, hitting 4.3 something. That remains above 4%. So that's also sort of finding support just around 4. The 5 year, I mean, they've all got the same trajectory. So yeah, they went lower, but they came off their lows quite a bit. 10 years, same thing. 30 year, same thing. So yeah, yields down, but you know, finding a bit of support, so not down that much. The European yields are a bit more sensitive because of the British. The 30 years finally found support. That was yeah, it's completely retraced its pop from this area here. So anyway, yields just sort of sideways to down, I would say. Let's look at the actually let's look at the DAX. They didn't go over that, but that was just like the US markets. So just completely popped, reclaimed its 12,400 and even 12,600 zone. Those are the two levels I was looking at on the way down. So 12,600 here-ish. And then when it flushed that, 12,400 and then kept going. So that's reclaimed that, just coincides with the US markets. And again, you know, if there's any sort of resistance that'll be around here, I would say, let's say 13,200-ish. Let's look at the currencies. Exactly what I was looking for. So I was looking for 110, 111 on DXY. We're pretty much there. 110.2, that's it. I mean, yeah, yesterday we ventured into 111, but I did say I, you know, could go a little lower. I wanted it to get a bit lower, and we've done that. So DXY 110, to be honest, I think we could go again a bit lower because although we've retraced quite a bit, and usually you'd find support here, and I've mentioned that this would be support because it's the sort of weekly, monthly, whatever you want to call this. This is the long term, which used to be resistance, now support. Why not just come down a bit more? It happens a lot. Plus, we would be entering the channel here, the ascending line. So I think it could easily sort of go even lower. You know, let's say 1.9, venturing the 108s, and then bounce and go back up. I think that's possible. But anyway, this is sort of support one-ish zone. I thought 111 was good, but this is much better support zone. But ultimately, 108 would be very strong. very strong support zone. If it gets here, I would become bullish the dollar. I mean, I hold a lot of dollars, but I would I would be less pro gold. Let's say at that point, I would probably sell more because for me that would be you know the dollar's going to bounce from there. Even if the dollar bounces from here and sort of goes to 110 and then fails and loses this descending line and goes back down to 105 or whatever, yeah, that can happen. But it could go like this, bounce, and then sort of fail, and then that's possible. But at over here, you're going to get a bounce, and that's going to take out gold. I mean, it should, unless it's really a fear trade move, like something to do with the war or something. But I mean, yeah, so the dollar could get some support here, but definitely down here. So anyway, sort of my target was hit there, 110, 111. I'd say that's done. And the euro almost took $1. That was what I was looking for also with the DXY going down. Now we're hitting that sort of downtrend line. So it could go just a bit higher, 101, maybe just fail just below 101 and come back down. Usually the markets sort of tend to overshoot a little bit. So $1 is the obvious target. So we'll overshoot a little bit. You get all these sort of algorithms that just run over the round number, like $1. So it wouldn't surprise me. Well, I'm not going to look at too much on the currencies. I mean, it's just really DXY. That's the main one. So let's not overcomplicate it. Now let's look at gold and silver. Again, for me, the most interesting ones. I mean, the market was very interesting today, but gold and silver happened to interest me more. Now, gold has completed its run. It's completely met its downtrend line resistance, which coincides here. I did say 1720, 1730. Can we make it today? Yes, we did. So perfect. And actually, we hit 1729. I was watching gold the whole day. Just closed below the highs. Now we did close outside of this downtrend line. It does matter whether it's completely perfect. I think it's pretty perfect, and I think it's closed outside it. But having said that, I think we're going to come a bit lower now. I think it's made a crazy move. It's a nice bounce. But I think it's kind of overextended now. I haven't looked at the RSI. I don't think that matters too much. The only thing that can keep this going is, besides some black swan or some war event or some extraneous circumstances, I think the DXY going low to 108, like I showed just now. If that happens, then yeah, we could go higher. We could start venturing to the 1740 zone. I just feel like it's very exhausted. It's very healthy to have a sort of pullback. What would be perfect, even for bulls, whether they believe it or not, would be for it to come back down, test 1680, then go back up to 1730, take it out, and then start its run to 1800. That would be beautiful. That would just make the chart look like, V bottom, just very healthy retests. And you don't really want someone to go, well, I wouldn't mind, I would benefit, but I think it should be exhausted. I think silver is exhausted. In fact, the GDXJs, these were a bit exhausted towards the end, so I sold a bit. I'll go into that. I just feel like it's done a bit of a crazy move. We've hit resistance not only because of this trend line here, but also the downtrend line. Plus, we've had a crazy move. So unless the DXY goes down, I see this coming down. Silver, I mean, it's done a bigger move than gold. It's been an absolute hero for a while. Ever since it took this out, the retracement, beautiful of 18. I thought this would be the resistance. It just did it in one day and just kept going. That was quite a statement. And then today we went even higher because we went higher because gold went up, dollar went down. So I could feel it was a bit exhausted. It's kind of stuck in this no man's land where normally it would probably want to go all the way up here, but because of other factors like the dollar, the markets, I think it might get forced up, but it's exhausted. Right now, its natural state is I'm tired. I've done a crazy move. I think what it wants to do is sort of go sideways to down and then maybe eventually come back up here. A lot will depend on the dollar. Overall, you zoom out, this is bullish. I mean, it's completely double bottomed. You can call it a W, a breakout. This downtrend line is closed above this area. So technically, we're going here, but sort of realistically, short term, it's pretty tired. And if you look at the other um, indicators, the other assets that influence it, like the dollar, it could sort of go sideways a bit before going up. Now I'm trading mainly the GDX and GDXJ. So let's take a look at that. I'll start with GDX, and you can see the similarities. Obviously, for me, exhausted, exhausted. Amazing move, 3%. I think at 1.44% and a bit on some of them. Very, 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 very strong for quite a few days in a row. This is resistance here for me. This is GDX, GDXJ, same sort of thing. I haven't done the trend line, but it would obviously be, or whatever, let's just say thereabouts. Yeah. So I sold quite a lot today. I mean, I sold yesterday too, but today I sold a bit more. And I think tomorrow we're red. I think even if gold and silver are up, I don't think they'll be up much. And I think you'll have the miners red, some of them, most of them. I think, let's just put it this way. I think that the gold and silver miners will underperform the markets. So if the markets are down a little bit, the miners will be down a lot. If the markets are up a little bit, the miners will probably be unchanged, maybe even red. So yeah, I just feel like they're exhausted. They've done a great, great move. I mean, some of these, if you just look at and I bought this lower here, this knife catching low, beautiful. Yeah, I'm 25%, and that's on the ETF, that's not on individual stocks. Basically 25% on both, 25% on the seniors, over 20%. Amazing bull market. Let's go sideways and then let's go back up. Dips will be bought. I'm gonna buy dips. But again, for me they're exhausted. So I sold more. Let's look at the portfolio. And they came off their highs. You can see, despite the ETF looking quite bullish, you can see for me this is pure exhaustion. So Barrick Gold, I didn't sell any of this because I don't have too much of a position. I'm looking to buy dips. Anything within, let's say, 15 or below is a buy for me. So I didn't sell any of this, but this was, I gave back a lot. Newmont, it's a shame I got so much in Newmont compared to the others, but I sold Newmont today. I sold it at 44.60 or something, pretty much where it is, nothing too crazy. It's okay. It's better, it did better than Barrack, which is decent enough. It hasn't done the biggest move, but it's a defensive play for me. Agnico Eagle did well. I sold that yesterday, sold it again today. You can see I don't have trend lines in all of them. I sort of trade them according to GDXJ and GDX also in this case. But this was a nice sell. You can see why. Just under 46. Beautiful. Wheaton was a sell also for me. Actually, wow, that pierced above that. I sold before it got there. But I'm just nibbling out these. The seniors I'm nibbling out. I always want a certain core amount in each of these. So imagine you have 5K in Wheaton. Let's say you had 5K when it was down here, and now all of a sudden it's worth 6.3K. You made 1,300. You take out 1,300. And if the next day it's because now it's worth 5K again, let's say the next day it goes up again, and now from 5,000 it's worth 5,400. Take out 400. So it's always worth 5,000 until you think it's not or it shouldn't be. And then you really sell or reduce your core position from, let's say, 5K to 4K or something like that. That's the way I trade it. Long overdue is my video on sort of risk management, but I'll probably go into that a lot more detail there. But I'm just nibbling out to make sure that it's worth the amount I have dedicated to it in my strategy. Pan American Silver, I sold that 1669 yesterday, didn't sell it today. Pretty decent move actually today, I think. Max Silver sold that again today. I think I sold that. I forgot where I sold that, 13 something. but that was also quite strong. But you can see, it opens all the way up here, almost at 14, closes at 13.69. Not the worst, it's an up day, but I'm seeing a lot of exhaustion. TPRFF, I trimmed that a little bit. Exhaustion, Yamana, I sold that just under 5. And then it pierced high, but then closed lower. So they all got similar candles, and this is pure exhaustion to me. Gold Fields, I trimmed that. Fortitude, I didn't do anything. This one I trimmed, First Majestic. These four, Fortuna, EXK, CDE, AG, I trimmed all of them. Actually, CDE, I trimmed it yesterday near high of day in the 90s. So today it actually took out $4, but I didn't sell. It didn't go too far above my last sell. And then I regretted that because, it came back down 5-6%. I mean, it's done such a crazy move. It doesn't surprise me. And I could see it was hovering down 2%. Oh, this is hard to see. It was hovering for a lot of the day here. And then all of a sudden it just completely got slammed. And then I really regretted not selling it, when it was hanging around just under 4, because look how much it came down. So, but that doesn't surprise me at all. And I trimmed that a lot the last 2 or 3 days. So I would have been down a lot more today on this one, but I've trimmed it so much that it was back to its core value, so no problem there. So yeah, basically the miners, they feel a bit exhausted. These I don't really cover because they don't really move. These two, well, they've moved a little bit to the upside the last few days, but that's it. Rain, it doesn't count. Yeah, that's it really. So for the miners, I feel like they're very, very tired. They need to go sideways down. I think they will underperform the market. They need a breather. So I trimmed again, but more than I usually would today. And that's it really. I will finish with crypto. Crypto is so hard to call right now because technically it's completely at breakout, not breaking out. I said 20,500. It's kind of almost gotten there. 20,500. Well, yeah, almost at 20,000. I would say 20,500 is the breakout zone. However, the markets have moved up a lot. And I remember here when the markets were moving a lot, Bitcoin only managed to get to 25K and then it failed. And when the markets failed, Bitcoin really failed. And if Bitcoin doesn't sort of hustle up in the next 1 or 2 days, because I think the SPY will, sort of lose momentum in 1 or 2 days, if you remember the first charts of this video, and then come back down. So if Bitcoin doesn't go up in the next 2 days of the market, if that's what the market does, then I'm sorry, we're going to come back down and flush. But otherwise, it could have a small delay and it could sort of catch up with the market. And if it does, it could easily get to 22,500 and who knows, even 25K. And then it could get pretty exciting for a lot of people. But let's see if we get to 22.5K first. I just feel like it's kind of now or never. Quite literally now or never. So in the next 1 or 2 days, let's see what happens tonight, because I'll be going to sleep soon. But I'm just a little disappointed. I mean, I could see this sort of, for me, this is breakout zone. It really is. I think a lot of people are watching this zone too. They should be. I think some stops will get triggered. Some automatic buyers will be implemented, but it should have already done it by now. That's the one thing I'm a bit concerned about. So yeah, what doesn't go up must come down. Let's see tomorrow. I'm going to give it 1 or 2 more days. Otherwise, I'll start turning bearish. So that's it. I hope that wasn't too long. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment. Let me know if you did any trades, etc., etc. Otherwise, good luck. See you tomorrow.